Greetings from the road. I'm here with Dennis in Iowa at an undisclosed location. I'm going to start you on an adventure. As I get up every day, I never know what I'm going to walk into when I roll up. And that's the beauty of what I do, because I don't buy and sell, because I don't take commissions, because I just turn the wheel. And if you've been following me for years, you've seen me go into incredible locations. As far as hot rod goes, Ford hot rods in particular, this is the most fantastic place I've ever been to. This is a very famous early hot rod, and Dennis is going to tell you about this head to start it off. So tell us about the head, Dennis.
Okay, well, this head is off of this particular car that you see in the background, and it's a Smith brand head. And to the average person, even some of the old hot rodders, they look at this head and they might think it's off of a 60 horse flathead, but it's not. It's a Smith brand. Don't know any history on them to speak of, but the unusual part is this water manifold that's on the top. There's the Smith name cast into it. And if you look at this head, you'll see how thick it is. And there's the combustion chamber, so you can see how long this thing has been sitting.
Now this head is off of this engine that's in this car.
Right.
Tell us about this engine.
Well, that engine, I don't know a lot about it. This car was in a movie called Cool Hot Rods. It's available on YouTube. The movie was made in 1953, and then the car was built in 58 as a drag car.
So the car existed, not knowing exactly what the engine is. If somebody goes in and watches the movie, they might get a shot of the engine, but the car had already been built. You're not sure about the engine that we're seeing in it now, but as a 53, this car was already built. So that means this was built 53 or earlier.
Right.
But we're not sure about the engine that was in it.
Right.
And then you said...
But when they made a drag car out of it, it was in 1958.
So it had a second life as a drag car in 58.
Exactly. And at that point in time, they changed the front suspension, put a suicide front end on it. That manifold has 4 Stromberg 97 carburetors on it. It's on a Sharp brand intake. Anyway, these guys were going to make a drag car. They built the drag car. They went to Lyons Drag Strip in 1958, and the first thing that happened was they blew first gear out of the transmission.
Now, Lyons, for people that don't know, where's that located?
In
at?
Los Angeles.
Okay, so this is a West Coast car.
Right. This car, the body work, the chop job, all of that was done by a guy named Sam Barris, who was a brother of George Barris.
Now, for those of you that don't know, I'll interject. I'm not a name dropper, but when people think of Barris, they ultimately think of George. George was the promoter. His brother did a lot of the work that he really didn't do credit for.
Yeah.
But this is his job right here. So you have a George Barris job on this hot rod that was made prior to 53, because its first known images are in the movie.
Yeah, and the body work was all done in lead, and in spite of how rough and how crude this looks right at the moment, because of the scaled off paint and all that, the body work is still in excellent condition, all done in lead.
Okay, so we're going to move now to the car, and we're going to have you put that head down. I got a flashlight here. Sorry for the light, but the lighting here is poor, so we're going to get a little bit of extra light here. And let's walk down. Let's take a look at this chop that was done.
This right here, where it looks like it's really in tough shape, it's not. It's very, very good body work.
All the way across. And again, inside, this is our setup.
And you know, you got to consider that this was probably made by some guys that were teenagers or so at the time. This car sat in Hollywood, California, outside in this guy's backyard for 60 years.
So this came from Hollywood. It was sitting outside in his backyard for how long again?
60 years.
For 60 years. And again, I'm trying to get some light on this so you can see it.
The rear fenders that are bobbed or chopped off at the bottom here, those are actually Model A fenders that have been just put on this 34 or 32 Ford.
So this is actually a 32 Ford base. for the body, right? For the body style?
Correct.
Okay, now this car is for sale. And for anybody that has a serious interest, and this is just the beginning of this tour, if you have a serious interest in possibly owning this, what you want to do is give Dennis a call. And what number do you want to call him at?
They can call me at, I'm in Iowa.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to go beyond that for now.
Right.
But I'm at 712
712
240
240
3334.
Now, the reason I'm taking my time on this car is we go from one end of the spectrum to the other. And I'm going to wrap this video up. This is the first of many to come. Everything you see here is for sale, but we're talking about a collection of over 50 years. And tell us about what we're looking at here now, Dennis.
Well, you're looking at a 33 Ford two-door sedan that I spotted on a farmstead here in Iowa probably 35 or 40 years ago.
So Dennis sees us 35 or 40 years ago on a Sunday morning, right?
Correct.
And you're with your buddy, and your buddy advises you, man, don't go knocking at that guy's door, because if you knock at that guy's door, we may get a face full of lead. But you're not going to be deterred. So you go up, and you knock on the door. Tell us what happens next.
Well, the guy comes to the door, he looks at me and he goes, what do you guys want? I said, I noticed you have a bunch of cars here. I would like to take a look at them. I wondered if they have them for sale. And basically what he told me in no uncertain terms is, hell no, they're not for sale. You don't see any effing for sale sign, do you? And he told me, he says, you know, if you want to buy cars like that, he said, go look in the Des Moines paper. They're in there every Sunday.
Not like this. And what are we looking at here?
This is a 33 two-door sedan, but it is a Model C motor in it from the factory, which is a four-cylinder engine.
Now, is that still in there under the cowl?
Still in there.
I'm not going to lift the cowl, folks, because it's a tight spot. We got a lot to go through.
And it is very unusual car. I don't know how many Model C cars Ford built back in the day, but it wasn't very many.
And then years later, your brother buys this at an auction. He sees an auction, and he goes in.
Yeah, and it was still sitting in the same place.
And he offered it to you if you wanted to buy it for him.
It still had the, when I first saw it, it had a 3-gallon bucket sitting over each headlight and a piece of corrugated tin like roofing material sitting on the roof. And when my brother got to the auction, it still had all of those items still on it. The buckets were still on the headlights. The grill, although it's scaly, is very straight. I don't think there's a broken bar or bent bar in it anywhere.
And Dennis, again, if someone has a serious interest in your car, what's your phone number here in Iowa?
It is 712-240-3334.
Okay, folks, that's going to wrap up this video. I'm going to continue.